on our website, so it wouldn't be taking up space there.
And so then you can also tell us how many, like right now, we're now uploading the full package so that they can see it. This whole entire package is on the website now. Our new website can hold that. And we can actually, and I just upload the minutes. What was I going to say? Oh, we have them up there for 2 years. So that data storage doesn't get extensive. We only have it up for 2 years. Now people can always come into the office to view them after that point, because really it's probably the most relevant ones that they want to look at. So you have to tell us how long do you want these YouTube videos up? Like as we saw in Northern Sunrise, they might have the last 3 to 6 months, right? Nobody's really probably going to look 6 months behind. They're going to look at what's just recently happened. So let's just go to here, just so that you can kind of see it.
It's pretty much so Brenda, what you're seeing right now being on Zoom, like the recording is going to be exactly that.
Okay, thanks.
We've got something I'll play on this computer. Yeah, good. And I would just jump to like the middle of the meeting or something so they can see kind of a discussion.
Doesn't want to go to the side, it just goes up and down. So as you see, this is what they would see right here. This right, Josh has the agenda showing, it has the people online. When, sorry, this thing is really just, it has this view in the corner from your Zoom, right? So whenever you speak into the mic and that owl picks you up, you're going to be the focus on that. So that's what people are going to see. They're going to see what Josh is sharing and they're going to see you. How
did the audio come through?
It did play when I was listening to it. I don't know why it's not playing right now. Is your speakers muted on your computer?
Yes,
Yeah,
just a minute, mine.
Here, the bottom task right there.
Okay, so what I'm seeing is the web page that says minutes and agendas.
You gotta change your share.
Oh, just a minute.
So it sounds very quiet. We did actually hear it when we were watching the recording.
It's just picking it up from here
Oh,
and not at the owl, right? So if you were watching it at home, you'd be able to hear it. Right now it's picking up just from my computer. But so really, basically what it is showing you.
this, yeah, pause the video for the slides.
It's showing you the agenda that Josh is sharing, and it's just you're in your small screen. So I don't know if that's really what you're thinking about when you want to show your video to other people. If you go to I just
And
want to show you
the video, like I can minimize that. I just, as a rule of thumb, I try to keep the agenda package at what we're talking about, and then you would hear it and see it. Anytime we have a delegation, I try to leave the people up so that we can see them, see who's speaking. If it's not a presentation and just someone speaking to you guys, we'll actually hide the, like what you're seeing right now is a news article. We would actually hide that so you would just see the person who's speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the City of Grand Prairie's YouTube page. They have them posted there. You can see upcoming live streams. You see what's coming up. You can see what's in the past. Videos. Theirs is I want to go to something that's slowed down. So this. Theirs are a little bit different. I do believe they have eScribe. So when you watch it, it's the mayor that you see, and then technically on the screen, it'll pop up to say 4 votes, or it says who voted for what, yea or nay. It's a little bit different, so I would encourage you to, I'm sorry right now, no, here we go, council meeting. So that's their council meeting looks like. The screen is right on the person speaking, and I would encourage you maybe to just take a gander at what that looks like. That's really professional. That's going to cost you a little bit more money. Right now, we can easily just post them to our YouTube page and people can watch them, and Josh, just like he said, can, as we learn, we can manipulate it to see what it looks like. But that was our first trial. Today's our second trial, and it's going to take a little time for us to kind of figure out what the process is and how to make it for best viewing. This here though is totally different software. So just so that you know that, yes, they're using it on their YouTube page, but it's a different software system. It's eScribe, so it is different. Which would,
And they'll have a different camera, because we
yeah,
kind of do, but it's messy with this one to actually. Like, it's picking you up as you're speaking, and it's always showing a panoramic view of council in the chambers. So theirs, I have a feeling they've got a camera that's just following specifically one speaker, or they've got somebody actually using it and moving it around. I'm not sure.
so we'll continue to play with it, but it gives you guys something to think about. We want to continue that. And if you would like us to post them and link them through our website to the YouTube, we can do that. And our YouTube channel right now, the subscription is free.
And I don't think they have a storage limit either. Like, by default, things would stay on there forever unless you take it down.
And Trin is investigating that, but as far as we know, there is no fee.
Well, it's a start. It's not perfect, but it's a start. And like I say, if you can make that link, otherwise if people have to go scrolling in menus and list menu and that, and they're gonna get frustrated, but
Yeah.
it's just a direct link to it. And we may get more viewers and 3 of them might be Teresa, so.
And that's it.
But
you know?
even 9 would be more than we have right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are getting, right now, you're in return on your investment, as Mr. Bloom would say. There's not a lot of input. It is a little extra time for staff, but we already have the accounts. We already have the updated website. So we can do this simple format for now. If you wanted to go to something more expensive and to eScribe and pay several more $1,000s, then you would say, well, is my return on my investment for 9 people worth it?
Yeah.
Maybe not. So we go with this.
We also reached out to get some quotes to upgrade the system. It's probably going to be a very basic update, not the complete professional solution like Josh referred to earlier. And we're still waiting for the pricing to come out. So
Yeah, that might not make this year's budget or not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have a quote by this year's budget. Chad. Yeah.
The other thing in your report, just a few questions about if people, I think you can make it so that they can't make a comment on it. So Trin wanted to know, because we don't monitor that, we don't monitor it at all. So that would be very difficult. But what we could do is put up a little notice that says, for questions regarding this week's meeting, please contact Terry Ungarian Reeve, and that's because our communications policy and stuff, he's your spokesperson.
But you're
right?
saying on the actual YouTube channel,
Yeah.
they'll have the ability.
Well,
Yeah.
you can, I think,
Yeah.
but we don't have anyone who monitors
Yeah.
it. We can't get it back. So I would suggest it for ease, and because we don't want to have to, maybe deal with, you know, some incidences. We want to make it as easy as possible. And to have a positive engagement experience is to not allow for that comment, but if they have a question, to seek their counselor and say, hey, I watched your thing, I do have a question. I think that might.
Yeah, I
be
like
more
that.
in the engagement.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're not monitoring YouTube, then what's the
Yeah.
point in?
And we don't monitor any of our social things on weekends and off hours. So it's only when someone's in the office.
And as a rule of thumb on the internet, the comments you're getting there are not usually,
Positive.
well,
Well,
used.
nice.
I think is a good word. Yeah,
And if someone has a legit concern, they will contact you, yes.
No, that's, I mean, we had that discussion, that's the whole problem with social media, right, is people who are very brave behind the keyboard there, and they'll say things.
warriors, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so, we'll accept this report for information and, go ahead and we'll start. I guess you have to make some changes to the website, right, to allow this to, have all those menu items added. and,
But that should be a zero cost thing. I think we just have the ability to
No,
do
it
it.
has to be done
Yeah.
before we can start broadcasting them, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to make a motion to acknowledge receipt of that report. Okay, Brett, Councillor Reese, all in favor, carried. Item D, the Manning Elementary School Gymnasium Task Force update.
Jerry, sorry, I just realized we didn't say where this money was coming. From $50 to $100 should come over.
Council,
It is, yeah.
council grants, obviously, so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, should go on council grants, yeah. So. My report is pretty basic, but, so we did meet, Gerhard was away, wasn't available, and you weren't available. So I went, and the mayor of Manning was there, and then we had 4 people from the school division, Jeff Thompson, who's, I think he's an assistant superintendent, Adam Murray, who is a superintendent for now, John Shabilsky, who's kind of the project guy, and then this principal, Kim Lysing from the school. So they brought kind of, and prior to this was called MES, but I already reached out to John and said, let's not just limit it to MES, let's look at Paul Raw High School too, because it's slated for demolition. So they brought kind of 2 different scenarios. MES, as much as we kind of thought that was maybe the one we should look at trying to save because it was kind of standalone. It's an older building. It's not laid out as nice, smaller floor surface. The school actually would like to use that for their future playground area once the building is gone. The big thing with it, it needs an immediate decision because it's slated for demolition soon. So they would want to have some decisions made by in October sometime, which doesn't give anybody any time to make that decision. So we kind of parked that and we went and looked at Paul Rowe. Paul Rowe, I should have brought the prints with me, I already thought of it. They had some kind of, not blueprints, but just some sketches of it. That gymnasium has its own mechanical room attached to it. MES doesn't. MES mechanical services are all further down the school. So that would all have to be moved there, probably build an auxiliary building to house it. Whereas Paul Rowe, it's all right there now. Plus Paul Rowe has an attached, almost sort of attached home economics and IA lab, industrial arts lab, that could be easily salvaged with it, which might be something the community might want at some point. Plus the track field is there already. There's a regulation track field there now for any future sports. So at the end of it all, if there was going to be an option, we decided that MES probably wasn't really an option just because of the timelines, because of the design of the building, with the mechanical services that Paul Rowe would maybe be more feasible. So we kind of agreed on that. So the next step would be to have qualified consultants and have a look at it and how the demolition would roll out. And I mean, you can't just go and say, when the demolition starts, say we want to save this part and leave this part. I mean, you have to have these consultants kind of have a look at it and come up with some scenarios of how that would look. So the school division is wide open to doing that. They're in favor of it. They say, yeah, we agree that this is a good structure and be ashamed to tear it down. But once they divest themselves of it, then whoever takes it over, it's going to be their responsibility from that point on. So to get these qualified consultants in, school division would not cover that cost. It would have to be a cost covered by the town and the county if we want to proceed with it. No firm numbers. It said there was 3 people there, Jeff, Adam and John. They all threw out different numbers. That'll cost $20,000. Probably be 35,000. Well, it could be up to 50,000, eh? So no idea. But these consultants are involved in the new school construction, so they come here on a regular basis to give it a.
Excuse me, so that this is the consultant fees that you're talking
Yeah,
to, 50,000? Just to assess building.
To, well, assess it and to say this is what would be required, right, to save this portion of the school. It would cost this much to disconnect this and keep this, and to kind of do a thorough breakdown of what it would actually take to disconnect whatever portion that we may want to save, so, and these are just abstract numbers that they come up with that nobody knows for sure.
Just a guess.
These consultants, like I say, they do come here regularly to inspect the new school construction. So we could probably piggyback on one of their trips up when they're coming anyway. They actually came up the day after our meeting, but I said, well, that's a little bit too ambitious to try and set something like that quick, so. So I guess what both councils, the town and the county be looking at, is there an interest in investigating this further? And, allocate a little bit of funds. We would split it with the town, right? 50-50, so. Yeah, so I mean, all of a sudden there's all sorts of wild ideas, well, maybe save even some of the classrooms, and there could be, there's some of these, the food bank, for example, is kind of bursting at the seams with that now, that they could use a bigger space. Maybe Georgina's group, they're looking for maybe office space somewhere. All of a sudden, but I guess started out with the gymnasium, maybe the gymnasium and the home ec club, because it's got a kitchen there already. Maybe the industrial arts lab, because there might be an opportunity to teach some courses there, whether one of the colleges wanted to, do some kind of like apprenticeship type programs that could maybe be run there. So, because those parts of the school are all kind of connected, right? That school has been added on to 3 times, I think, the original structure, then added on the junior high section with the gymnasium, and then there's some further additions done later. So we'd only be looking, what we originally were looking at was just this gymnasium with a foyer for an entrance. You can't just walk into the gym. You need a kind of entrance with a coat room, a boot room, and then a mechanical room, I say, would go with it, because you have to heat that place, obviously. And then beyond that, anything's up for discussion, I guess, so.
There's a stage in there too, isn't there?
Yeah.
In that gym, there's
So
a
there's-
stage.
There's a stage and 2 change rooms just off the side of the gym, and then in the entrance, there's a girl and men and women's washroom as well, that are just kind of all in the same area.
And like kitchen's just off.
The kitchen is off the back, so it would be off the southwest side of the gym.
Yeah.
So the demolition of the Paul Rouse school isn't as.
So that won't probably happen until next summer, or next fall,
So
but they would need a decision by spring, right? So they have time to
Oh,
kind of assess this and attach some dollar cost to it.
And if I may, it's, so one thing just to share in the cost of that, have we had the discussion at a joint meeting about who would actually look over the operation of that?
We absolutely have, this is just kind of the concept that was kind of talked about.
Because I assume what that would look like from the school division standpoint is at some point that building would transfer over to whoever the
somebody.
new owner was.
Yeah.
At which point you'd be in charge of, at the very least, insurance and utilities. And then after the demolition was done and you were left with whatever was kept, it would be that actual operation of that as well.
No, for sure. I mean, and would that be the town? Would that be the county? Could it be a joint ownership? But I don't know how that would roll out, but I guess the first thing to see through, if, what the consultants say, if there's even any appetite for it. And then the other thing that I asked, and I know it's been asked before, is so Alberta Infrastructure owns a building, right? It's not the school division. So Alberta Infrastructure is going to be the ones responsible for getting rid of it. So say they budgeted $2 million to demolish these 2 schools. And we said we want to save part of this. Would that reduce their demolition costs? Probably not, they said, because you still gotta, it's probably even makes it more expensive because you gotta be careful what you're taking out then, right? But if there was some money saved, would they turn that over to the municipalities to help with this? And they said at a bureaucratic level, no, they just put that money back into general revenues and gonna go to the next project. But at a political level, meet with the Minister of Infrastructure and kind of plead our case, so, you know, this is a perfectly good structure that we hate to see tore down. It might have some potential to grow the community. Do you have any money you could help to do this with, eh? And, so I think I'd like, when we're at our, if he's available, the minister, I think it's at Peter Guthrie now. I don't really have never dealt with him, but we just have that conversation with him. But before we get that far, I guess, that Manning probably meets on Wednesday. I don't know if they're gonna discuss it at their meeting. I'm hoping they will, whether they would be open to allocating some money for this consultants to do an investigation on it. So yeah, I did make a note here. October 18th will be the deadline by the Peace River School Division Board to make a decision on Manning Elementary. So that's only a week away, right? We're a little over. So there's no way, but we just gotta cast that one aside. That the Paul Rao High School timeline would be longer, sometime in June 25. They would need a decision, so that would give us lots of time to have some discussions at the provincial level and amongst our councils, I guess, what we want to do. So I would think that would, if we're going to do anything, the first thing you got to do is have these consultants have a look at it and say, this is a crazy idea, or no, this is a wonderful idea, and we can disconnect it here and just keep operating. So hard to budget when we don't have any firm numbers, but just what the school division people were throwing all sorts of wild numbers out there. It's well, we know what engineers.
But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big bite right off the bat, just spend what's viability, you know, 30,000-50,000.
How else do you proceed if they just say, well, no, it's we're not interested then, and you know, they go to the landfill or.
Oh, that's a dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Manning map type, only up half of, you know, like 50,000, just to get some information, you know. It's kind of, if you invest that much, you kind of almost committed to it, maybe think.
Well, no, I mean, you still got time to pull the plug yet. I mean, it'd be a shame to see it. You know, not going for
What, oh, sorry. What all would this consultation include? Like, would it include, maintenance expense, like utilities and whatever?
I don't know your question, if we were to take ownership of it.
Yeah. Or is it just the demolition and renovation or whatever? Like, what would they be looking at?
Exactly, what would they?
Oh, no, the consultant's only looking at what it would take to salvage a portion of the building. I mean, if we took the whole building, well, then that's, you don't need a consultant for that, right? But if you want to disconnect part of it, then we need somebody with expertise to say, well, your electrical service is here, your natural gas service is here. This wall is not a load-bearing wall. We can't remove it. If we do remove it, we have to replace it with something. There's all these questions that are kind of technical about how you would disconnect part of the building from the existing building.
Okay,
No, as far as the operating of it, they have nothing to do.
that's totally different. Yeah.
I mean, the school division would have those numbers. They know what it costs to pay electrical utility bills, I guess, and maintenance costs, or I don't know how they're factored in there, but I guess that's what the consultants would say. They would look at the roof and say, this roof is good for another 30 years, or no, this roof is due to be changed tomorrow, or these windows are the same thing, or you know, all those things that what we would inherit there. Would they be big costs coming up immediately, or? So yeah, I think it would be a fairly robust kind of inspection on it and the report drawn up.
And I think your deliverable would be ultimately a blueprint of what it would look like once it was separated.
Yep.
What that layout would look like.
So I mean, we don't have to make a decision today. I mean, we can say if we're interested in looking at it further and let the school division know, because they're not acting on this one right away, right? They got time. And maybe kind of wait and see what happens, what they decide, and then we can even call a meeting together with this task force and, you know, maybe Gerard and Lori would be available at that time and we can get a little more serious about it. This was just kind of a high level look at it to start with.
Mhm. Well, I think we should wait and see what the town of Manning comes up with
Yeah,
for now.
okay, so we can just accept this information and table it after there's been more discussion, I guess, and I guess it's separate information from now is fine. Or do we want to put in the motion that we're still open to discussing it?
When's your next joint meeting with the town?
Not till January, I think. But I mean, the task force can meet after council meets, right? And, I think that'd be probably the proper way to do it. If they have it on their agenda on Wednesday, then we can get the task force together whenever he's available and see what they decided. I mean, they're gonna ask what we decided, which was nothing, right? We decided to wait and see what they said, right? But maybe I would ask the school division if we have another task force meeting prior to meeting, that they can talk to these consultants and try nail down a better estimate of what it would actually cost, right? You know, they might have been really wildly out one way or the other on their numbers they're throwing out, their total guesstimation, right? If they actually talk to these consultants, yeah, we're gonna be in Manning anyway, we can come and have a look at it and spend a half a day doing it or a day doing it, or whatever. I don't think it'd be $50,000.
The other thing, we could maybe talk to the ministers involved
At RMA.
or an RMA if we can, you know, and that would give us another little bit of information that.
Yep, they'll reach out to their office and see if we can meet with it, even if it's as assistant minister or whatever, somebody that more of the political side than, because right now, apparently, according to Peace River School Division, the bureaucrats there, no, the money's not being used in that project, it doesn't go to something else, it gets put into another structure, and it can be anything, right, from a new hospital to a new school to whatever that they look after, so. Okay. So yeah, so we need a motion of that for now. Somebody wants to make that motion. Okay, Councillor Decker, all in favor? Carried. Item E is a Peace Regional RCP Community Advisory Committee funding request.
Yeah, we received a request from the Peace Regional RCMP Community Advisory Committee for a modest donation of $250. And that they say it's going to be used for their risk program, which should reduce injury and student knowledge. And it was formerly the party program, which just in the name would already be a saving, I would think. And that is a collaborative effort by community agencies, including the RCMP, Peace Regional Integrated Traffic Services, AHS, Victim Services, and Northern Sunrise Protection County Protection Services. And what they do is they educate grade 10 students about the consequences such as destructive driving, impaired driving, and not wearing seat belts. Whereas it's different but then they want a modest donation of $250.
Knowing that a lot of our residents use Grimshaw and Peace River schools, and maybe not a bad initiative. We probably spend $250 on a lot worse things,
I
right?
think so.
That didn't include the kids, didn't make the motion.
I'll move to approve.
Council Reese's allowing the street level report and approve the funding of $250. And Council Grants, all in favor? Carried. Item F is our addition, the fire department open house. which is gonna be October the 12th. That's right around the corner.
Yeah, we have received a request from Tim Harris, the fire chief, that there's an open house on October, it's a Saturday, October 12th, from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock at Peaceville Fire Hall. And they will be displaying the trucks and equipment. And there will be an interactive hazard house, fire safety information, door prizes and giveaways. So it's just the council was with them and their motion.
Pardon me?
I'm not available.
I mean, I'm busy with the next Thanksgiving weekend, with my family room, but we could run down for a quick breakfast and just make an appearance, but maybe some of our Southern councillors,
I think I could probably slip in for that.
I'm ready.
I'd be interested in attending.
I can send my bunker gear down with you guys if you guys are interested in doing some live training or something.
Yeah, I think if Gary and Brenda show up, that's. Okay, motion that we acknowledge receipt of the invitation and we'll send Councillor Thies and Musinski.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor Thies makes that motion. All in favor? Good. Okay, 6.1.2, item A is a CEO report.
So just some updates of what I've been busy with the last few weeks. So we had our first draft session with all my senior management team. We spent all 2 days on that, so I was very impressed with the comments we got some out of those. I've sent it back to Tim, and hopefully we'll get some feedback on that within the week or so, and then we'll probably bring it to council for information. We had the Manning Rural Fire Protection Advisory Committee meeting. Some interesting ones coming on that one. So looking at bigger portions funded by the county.
That agreement expires the end of this year.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's the same with the intermunicipal task force. What's it done? Manning, we met with them. There's a few items discussed, a few items they want us to almost fund 75% off, like fire truck and stuff like that.
So
We'll discuss those.
based on what we heard from RMA from Wyatt, the ICFs, although their deadline was end of this year, there's been an extension.
There's been an extension if there's no ICFs in place. In time for actually to do the negotiations for us. And as ICFs in place, what's the outcome of all of that going to be afterwards? They didn't say anything on that one. And the same discussions we had at my RPA meeting RMA meeting, that one. And yeah, I really think that we should have a more formal discussion about what we're going to do moving forward, and I think we're on the right track with our regional meeting that we want to have on that. And,
But from a practical standpoint, you guys have existing agreements now, so you're bound to what is in those and the terms of those.
Yeah.
So they're all slightly different, but they have soft expiry dates. If there's no changes, they just roll over for another term.
Right.
So I think Peace River and Manning's expired this year, I think. So if there's changes you want to see, it's easier to propose those now that it's expiring rather than let it just renew for another term.
and I would make a recommendation, sorry, Jay, on that one is that if we do negotiate with them and we extend it, that we do agree with them that we only extend it a year at a time until we get that
Right.
that final decision by.
Yes, because we haven't had a meeting with Peace River yet, right? And we met with Manning, and so you said roll it over for a year if there's no changes, but we obviously heard, like in the report, that they're looking for changes, right? So.
Manning is anyway, I haven't heard.
Because we haven't met with them, yet,
No.
right? So I don't know what.
I don't think Peace River would want anything changed.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
We may want something. to do.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Yeah, I was kind of unclear with why it sent there from RMA about the extending of it. I thought that. Because there's so much, it's up in the air so much, municipal affairs is looking at it, it's kind of a mess. RMA is not, they're proposing some changes, they're advocating for changes, so. I think probably be best just to extend it for a year, but
but if we don't agree with all that's in there, I think it would be in our interest if we at least reach out to Peace River specifically and tell them that we are not agreeing 100% with everything in there. At least they understand that we started the process. We put them on notice that we are not happy, and it's not an automatic.
And I do believe that just extending it for a year is a change, because I'm pretty sure if no changes are brought forward, they extend for 3 or 5, yeah. That might be different between the two, I can't remember off the top of my head.
okay, carry on then.
So we went to the Alberta Munis conference. Actually, I enjoyed the conference, it was really good. Some, lots of important airtime with some of the ministers. They spend a lot of time actually discussing stuff with us, which is, I think, really, really good. And the last one I did was the Arnold one, also very interesting. That's to get the views of all the CAOs of the area without any politicians there. So there was definitely a bit more frank and open discussion.
Also, I see you guys, what you mentioned already, that you guys talked to municipal affairs about ICFs at that meeting.
Yeah, it's a municipal affairs. She was actually sitting right next to me there, and yeah, there is definitely, but I don't see it. It's going to be very soon, probably towards the end of next year, that we'll have the formula. That's what she said.
So you didn't put it in your report, maybe on purpose, but we had some kind of just ad hoc discussions with some urban mayors, Mayor Three Hills, Mayor Benson.
Yeah.
And, it's quite interesting.
I thought we're going to get a standing ovation from both of them, the way we actually deal with our neighbors. So, and it's the same what Tim said. We've been one of the better municipalities to deal with from a regional point of view compared to the rest of them out there.
Yeah, it just was kind of eye-opening, I guess, how different municipalities handle their ICFs, and I kind of think it's maybe a cookie cutter, everybody's doing the same, but no, it's we definitely have a different approach to it. And so just threw it up there as a point. So that's it for your report.
That's it for me. I'll take questions.
Yeah, on the Alberta Municipality Convention, that Premier floated an idea, it sounded like of taxation, province taking over municipal taxation.
Well, there was talk about that, right? But was it her? Or was it MacGyver that talked about that?
Yeah, it was more
Okay, anyway, the issue was raised about the province taking over collecting municipal tax. So they've done it on a small scale already with industrial tax.
With assessment.
Assessment, yeah. And so anyway, it's just was thrown out there. I don't think, but
I mean, from what I remember, there was no real feedback on it. They kind of said that out there, and
I think she well, they were just testing the waters, and that's my feeling on it. I don't think it's going to be
Just to broaden what they're in charge of assessing, or to actually go
actually
tax.
collecting the taxes.
I think there's like an economies of scale cost savings involved, whereas we don't need so many administrative personnel from a municipality point of view to actually get to get the taxes in. But that's
kind of how I interpret it too. They're thinking that they'd be a lot more efficient by having just one central body doing it. But, there's like 69 rules and there's 170 some urbans or whatever. We take all the villages and summer villages and right from Edmonton to Calgary, and I just can't see that ending really well,
Provincial government and efficiency are usually
Yeah.
two words that I use together.
using the same sentence.
Yeah,
I think if they wanted to take over the getting in the taxation from the industrial side of it, oil and gas, all of those things, yes, that would definitely be a benefit in my opinion. But a residential tax, I don't think that's our biggest problem.
yeah, weird. I guess it's just like as of right now, that's backwards, because we actually collect their portion and then remit it to them, so I don't know what they're looking at, but that would potentially cause some cash flow issues for municipalities, depending on how they paid it out after collecting it, but.
This is the headline here, that, Smith pitches Alberta government collecting taxes on behalf of municipalities. Here's a quote. Doesn't make financial sense to us. How does it make sense for you guys to have 320 different tax departments? With that coalition. For the municipality to make it.
Exciting.
Yeah, but she did say that, I mean, there was nobody answered or responded to that, right? She was just kind of heard. I think she threw out there, and like you say, just kind of warming us up.
Well, yeah, asking for feedback, so.
It, well, like, it would be. Like, if they were gonna do that, that would remove almost an entire department from this office. Whether good nor bad, I won't speak to that, there would be a lot of other questions. Like right now, we collect everything, we make quarterly remittances to the provincial government for the school taxes.
Right.
And then we also, same thing for North Peace Housing. So for that to shift, I would assume they're either gonna pay us once a year or quarterly, and we would have to distribute, like, we would still be bound to pay North Peace Housing, for example. That's collected with our property taxes. So there's a lot of like logistical questions that would arise with how that would look. Would it streamline the collection of taxes? Maybe. Are they gonna do that through property assessments still, or are they gonna do that just as part of income taxes?
Yeah,
She didn't elaborate on that, I
never
guess.
elaborated on that. One thing they did talk about too, unrelated to taxes is. Oh, right now there's grants in lieu of tax on provincially owned property, which I don't know how much we have in our municipality, if any.
Equates to like 30 grand.
Yeah, so what do we even have, like,
There's federal and provincial ones.
but anyway.
yeah.
A place like Edmonton, which is a government town, yeah, lots, like they're in the millions, right? So they're, and then the opposition leader, he talked about that, but if we're elected, we're gonna pay our taxes, right? So. So yeah, that was the other kind of hot topic, that probably a headline on that somewhere too, that, not collecting these taxes on provincial, or not paying taxes on the provincial, not even collecting, they don't even charging on provincial buildings, right? So it's like a place like Peace River, where they have a courthouse and a provincial building and a bunch of provincial assets, they don't get any taxes on those. Schools don't pay taxes.
Yeah, we heard that from the town. So churches are different, but the same thing, they don't pay. Manning really commented that in the joint meeting though, because the schools don't
Because-
contribute anything from the tax dollar standpoint.
Alberta Infrastructure owns them, it's a provincial asset then, right, that they don't pay taxes on. So I don't think it grants in lieu of, that's what.
Not for schools. Canada Post is another one. That might be grant in lieu property, I'm not sure. We have some that are owned by, like CBC has communication tower sites that they pay grant in lieu on. RCMP has properties that they contribute on. Can't remember what the provincial ones are. They
Yeah,
have like
I
some
thought about it.
farmland things, so probably great, like provincial grazing reserves, I would imagine, but
Parks are considered.
yeah, they're gravel pits, things like that, yeah.
Yeah, that's. Any other questions on the CEO report? Let's get a motion to accept it. I'll move, Councillor Reese, all in favor? It's carried. Finance. Speaking of. Finances, Josh, John Manning and Councillor Lights.
Yeah, I'd say we're starting with an easy one, but, so this is the same report that went, this was the task force meeting, I think, Gerhard, yeah. So members of the, Manning and County Joint ICF Task Force have seen this report already. Cliff's notes of it, just so I'm not reading it to you guys, is looking at the actual hours spent from an equipment standpoint in responding to calls from, this is strictly fire. And over, I think we had 5 years of data. The town is ultimately seeking for more financial contributions from the county on that basis. Depending on how we look at it or what we include or exclude, I think it was shown that anywhere from, so anywhere from 67% to 85% of the actual equipment hour usage is being spent over the last 5 years responding to county calls versus town calls. So right now we share at the same level as our ICF, so it's about 58%, 59%. It was kind of left open-ended from that meeting as to what the exact figure should be, but ultimately more.
Yeah. And yes, Gloria and I were at that meeting, or you were too, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they have a valid point.
That
I thought,
was Brenda.
You're talking about the joint fire.
yeah, I'm talking about
The joint fire one? Or
The joint fire.
the task force one?
no, I'm not talking about the task force, that's about the joint fire. Yeah. And like I said, they have a valid point that most of the calls are coming from either Alberta Transportation, which is usually a motor vehicle accident, or county calls, which can be anything from motor vehicle accident to a structure fire, to a search and rescue, grass fire. So if they weren't,
Oh, sorry, and this was capital specifically, this
you
one.
know, if they weren't serving county, then their budget would be way less, right? So we are causing them, well, not causing, but we're a result of a lot of their expenses because they're providing a service for us too. So maybe we do have to take more responsibility, you know, based on the percentage of calls.
Yeah, historically, so we've gone from 50-50 cost sharing of equipment to like things like there was one tanker truck, I believe it was, that the county paid for 100%. The side-by-side unit was the most recent one. The county paid for all of that, right? Like, because the intent is that's going to be used solely for county responses. And so Manning is really just saying that when they're getting called out to these county structure fires or whatever kind of calls, they're using not just that equipment that we purchased, but the entire fleet of Manning Fire Hall's equipment to respond to these calls. So in fairness, they're looking for a cost sharing that's more reflective of usage. And so this is what we were tasked with originally as administration, was just to bring back some options. So we had like actual usage hours on each one, track both ways, and that's what you guys have seen. We had actual firefighter wages that were allocated to each one, so we looked at that. So there's, I guess, a couple different options you guys can look at as far as proceeding or maintaining status quo. The town obviously is not happy with that, or they wouldn't have brought it forward.
So this
here-
discussion is, today's purposes is just capital contributions, right? Not the operating. Because I think-
Yeah, the operating one though is, I don't think we have that report on here this time, but they've got that coming as well for fire operational and as well just the ICF operational stuff as well, I believe.
Because it's, I mean, they talked about that extensively too, about the operating expenses are, you know, are most, or majority is county related, right?
Yeah, and we are paying a majority of the operating costs right now as well.
56% or whatever.
59.
59. But I think they would like to see that even increase more, right? So it's a lot, but it's probably still cheaper than trying to run our own fire department.
And it's rearing up right now because we've got a new fire truck has been a topic of discussion now for probably 3 budget cycles, and it's just being pushed down the road.
So if we bought a new truck, then it would be costing us more if we up our.
Well, absolutely, yeah, so instead of 50%, it
It'll
would
be.
become 80% or whatever.
60, 70.
So the arguments that they pose are obviously like, here's the data, here's what we're doing. Really the only arguments, the other side that we discussed in that task force meeting is. You have to look at the service that's actually being offered, so the feasibility of the fire department getting to a call and salvaging a structure in the town is a lot greater than. Responding even 15 minutes out of town, right? The more time you have,
Less.
the more the service that you're receiving. Because at some point it becomes more controlling spread and excessive or additional damage rather than actually saving a structure. It was
still
weird.
value in that.
And there, I'm not saying there's not value in it. It's just a point to be made that it is a different service. The other thing too that we noticed is you look at the hours of the equipment that's going out and it's a lot more. And then when you look at the actual wages, it was actually not as big as a gap. Still more on our side, but that kind of is indicative that I think we're getting less people responding to those further calls as well. It's a bigger time commitment for a paid on-call staff, right? If that's the reason or whatever the reason is. So it's kind of arguments both ways, I guess, that I just want to throw out there for you guys to consider. Really all I have to offer for that, it's at the end of the day, the ask is for more of a contribution, which is gonna equate to a higher cost to your taxpayers.
Well. Would it be fair to offer the same level as we do on our operating, 59%? I mean, I guess fair is a subjective word, right? I mean, you can whatever you want. I know that they talked at the task force meeting and at the fire services meeting, they're looking for a bigger number than that.
Yeah, sorry, I think I miscommunicated that the operating side is shared at that level. The capital stuff historically has been 50-50,
Yeah.
or we've paid for all of our things.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and I understand
Yeah.
that. That's what I'm suggesting is that we increase that capital portion from 50-50 to 60-40 or whatever. And of course, anything that's exclusively for the county use, like a bush truck or a side by side would still be 100%, right? But I don't think there's any of those kind of requests coming up.
I don't know, that would be the fire truck I know is the big one that they're talking about, yeah.
What I understand is if it's kept at 50-50 or 60-40, they probably can afford it, right? So.
But that would be their decision, right? Not ours, so.
Yeah.
Which impacts your people too, though, at that point.
For sure.
So I mean. I guess for budgeting purposes. We kind of should decide this. If we wanna leave it at 50-50. This would be written into the new contract at the beginning of the year, right? So we would finish off these next couple months at the current level. Because they have a list of stuff here that they're looking for, but that's for 2025 though.
No, that the list is just historical things that we bought in the last
But they
while.
did have a list at our meeting there. Right,
That, Josh, you received the list.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it.
So from what I can remember from the list, it was about $80,000 worth
Yes.
of items,
Yeah.
excluding the fire truck, which would be 700.
well, there was some more bunker gear, which they're always looking for, there was some kind of a washer, industrial washing machine or something.
Yeah,
Um,
there was a pressure washer.
About 80,000.
Yeah.
no, obviously the fire truck wasn't on there for that.
That's what it was about.
We got one from the toy store for that.
Thank you.
So maybe we
Fine,
are
that-
the fire department. And start charging.
Well, I
the
mean-
other way around.
You start to wonder at what point do we, but, I think that would be a. That would be a huge budget item if we had.
Well, I know that, but still, it's going to be, if the way they want it, it looks like they want
I mean,
80.
if these numbers are right, but I mean, we
Yeah.
certainly it's fair for us to pay for
Yeah.
what services we're receiving.
Agree.
I mean,
That's what I
I
said.
don't like.
Still would be a,
Way cheaper.
well,
Is
that's
it
right.
gonna be way cheaper?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think just simply taking over who has control of the overhead really changes things. It just changes who's paying who. Right? It would shift from us paying the town to the town paying us for their portion. The ultimate question is still gonna be, what is that portion? Whichever way the money goes.
So 75.
So I mean, administratively, you could task the county more if you had to take it over, if you were to take it over, right? But,
Yeah, I don't know how much like April would be involved in day-to-day fires stuff, or if it would, like, it would
Probably
change.
payroll and,
Yeah,
the fire chief answers to the council, right? So,
yeah. But he's.
but the joint, does he actually answer to the council, the town council, or is everything for him come from your guys' joint fire meetings?
town council.
Town council. He's also appointed by the town council. Realistic, I don't think it will make a difference, but at least we can sort of decide what portion we want to contribute at this stage. I think it's the other way around, we have to get them to commit to an amount to pay,
Well,
so.
I mean, based on these number. Based on total usage, excluding Alberta transportation, which is 100% recovery. You're saying 85%?
That was an average over the last 5 years.
And then the other.
And then what I did with the other one though was they had the hours of the county owned fire truck as well in the total, so. We paid for that altogether, so to back that out and just look at jointly owned equipment, it was 67.13, and that doesn't add up to 100, obviously, because I've taken those hours out. And then the wages was, 18.5 and 81.5.
Well,
So if we went 70.
I certainly agree that we have to pay more of our share, right? I don't think there's any argument for that, but what is that number?
Yeah.
Because I agree, Linda, I mean, I keep looking at, 85, well, next time it'll be 90%. So next one will pay 100% of the,
So I may as well take it over.
yeah, but you're not there yet, so.
And don't focus as much on just what the numbers are, I mean, that's a 5-year average, it could change, I mean, it's a 5-year average, so it didn't fluctuate. Well, it did, like even from 2018, we were as low as 61%, right? But we've also been as high as 91%. So from that logic, I probably wouldn't tie yourself to definitely a 1 year or a 2-year average, like a 5-year moving average might make sense. And then you would base it on that rather than putting those hard coded percentages in. So that it continues to change where the equipment's actually being used.
Isn't it a 3-year average from 21 to 24?
That 85% is 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, it's almost, looks like 6 years.
Almost 6 years.
Or 6 years, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, in the argument, it's not only just hours, it's the wear and tear on the equipment versus. You idle down from the fire hall down the streets of Pay Street in town and set up,
It'll be different then.
then going down to Chichaga Road or going up to Hop Hills or going to Breaking Point or.
And drafting out of a creek or a river versus getting it out of a fire hydrant, so there is a difference.
And Chin Road might be a different conversation, but. Just remember, like, for them to respond to somewhere even in Hawk Hills. there's an hour of that is just simply the vehicle driving down the road. So the truck is not working that many more hours, it's just moving, right? Whereas it takes 10 minutes to get anywhere, like, probably not even 10 minutes to get anywhere within the town boundary, but the truck can work more of those, it's actually working more of those hours.
But their point is that hour of just driving, sometimes those conditions are, these bumpers aren't necessarily built for muddy gravel roads or snowy roads or whatever, so even though you're just driving, it's getting more wear and tear on it, I guess is probably simple term.
Put miles on it, yeah.
Well, and hard miles sometimes too, right, if you're plowing through, you know. So I don't know, where we wanna give them 75, I heard somebody saying.
What did Brandon say?
It'd be interesting to know how many of those vehicle hours is actually travel time.
And they don't, as far as I know.
They don't keep track of that, but I don't know, I just think at some point, if we're gonna be paying like 80% of something, we should also be managing it, but you know, that's gonna be a whole other cost, so I don't know. I think we should be paying our share for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of.
So a small increase, because this is gonna keep going up.
So I'm kind of hearing consensus that, we all agree that that 50% is probably not really fair. But we just haven't really landed on a number that we think is fair.
I don't, so as far as coming to a decision, I mean, this capital right now is in the agreement, but just I think it just says we'll review them and we've just historically contributed 50, so. That fire services agreement, I think, expires this year as well, which is why it was brought up and it's being discussed. It's not expired tomorrow,
No.
but.
So I mean, the 80,000 that they've kind of put out for capital this year, we would continue that at the 50% level.
Well, that wasn't
That's
next year's.
Until
stuff,
new
so,
agreement.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I guess it is next year's budget, so. Yeah. So I mean, and kind of to your point, Brenda. The hours that they're moving, but we're still paying the firefighters wages. Even if they're driving or if they're holding the end of a hose, they're still getting paid, so.
True.
I guess we started with, it's supposed to be a negotiation, start at 75 and,
Well,
No, I wouldn't.
yeah, I
Mhm.
mean,
I
start,
wouldn't start at 75 and start at 68 or something.
well,
Because
because,
then you can go, we know
Oh.
what we're doing.
so my point was, we're paying 59% of the
Yes.
operating, right, the expenses.
Yeah.
So why don't we kind of put it in parallel with that and see where that goes, that's.
Yeah. And just
And-
so count, that 59, that's a result of, it's all population based, so we look at the population of Manning compared to the population of the wards that are serviced, so I can't remember exactly which ones we count, I think it's
I think it's 5,
4,
6,
5,
7.
6, 7, I think, yes.
Sorry, Brenda, you had something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, what is that in a dollar value?
You'll have to give me a second to pull up the fire budget here. I mean, this is capital, so the dollar value is dependent on what their items are, so.
Oh,
So-
okay, but
Talking $80,000, it's not a lot. When we're talking a $1.5 million fire truck, it equates to a lot more. And then if it veers into the operating side of things, which I think it would probably logically follow. That's gonna be a whole different ballgame.
So, because you probably just about bet that when this agreement is renegotiated, they're gonna look for an increase in the operating side as well. Right, so. Maybe we should put our capital side maybe a little bit higher than 59%, go to 65 or something, and
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, the problem with this is it's buried in their ICF payment, so I can't even pick it out very easily without finding the invoices from the operational side. But capital, like I said, just depends on the projects that they have Opposed?
And also say that if we agree to the increased percentage of payment, that they actually do buy the fire truck and not just move it out by another year, and then by then we pay 10% more, or. Yeah. And not just that portion, but also they negotiate a higher percentage.
Yeah.
That we need to go through.
So it kind of compounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what level of support that they would actually say, yeah, we're gonna go ahead with it. I mean, if we got up to 90%, they only had to pay 10%, then they might, but, 65-35, still might not be manageable. But that's, again, that's their council to decide. So does somebody want to make that motion then? We acknowledge Rosita's information and we put in a 65% capital. I would prepare to make that motion that we contribute 65% to the capital budget. Or
2025, starting with.
I mean, that's the starting point. I mean, this is negotiation.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's right.
I mean, do we need to put a number here on this motion, or just that we would?
I think for their purposes, for them to come back, we have to put something there, right?
Remember what the term of that agreement was here? Was it a 5-year agreement? I don't remember.
But all I know is we kept extending it, right? Because it
Yeah.
expired and extended and extended.
I think the original one was 5.
Regional fire services. Yeah, regional fire services. Glad I can't see that probably.
But it was just 65-35. Do you actually remember it? Or do you want to share your screen? This is not there.
See what?
Oh, it's Brandon can't see the motion, so I'll let Teresa Tupper share
I
it.
think she's sharing it there now. Can you see that, Brenda?
Yeah,
Yeah, I made that motion. So any more discussion before I call for the vote? I'm seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Let's, I know we got ISL waiting here, we're a little bit behind schedule with them. So let's just recess this meeting. And we'll move to our MPC agenda. And hopefully the ISL folks are still waiting. We can go back to the live screen. Hi, Debbie, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. And do you have somebody else with you?
Yes. I'd like to introduce you. First of all, good morning, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to Gail Long. She's joining ISL and will be helping, assisting with all the CNL applications.
Good
Morning.
Hi,
I
Gail.
look forward to working with ISL and working with the County of Northern Lights.
It's good to hear. I look forward to working with you guys too. So I will call the meeting to order at 11:35. And we have an agenda, so any additions to the agenda? If not, I'll get a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Halabiski, all in favor? That's carried. Minutes from our last MPC meeting on September 24th. Any discussion arising? Comments? If nothing, I'll have a motion to. Okay, Councillor Thies. All in favor? That's carried. Development permits. to be issued by the planning commission. We have 3 of them.
Thank you. The applicant is proposing to construct a new fertilizer blending plant in conjunction with fertilizer storage and sales on lot 7, block 1, plan 002-2902 on part of the Southwest 392-23 west of the 5th. The lot is 2.35 hectares or 5.82 acres in area and is regulated by Zone 1 of the Airport Protection District. The proposed development is defined as manufacturing and fertilizer storage and sale and listed as a discretionary use within this district. The overall height of the blending plant is 70 feet. The proposed development is approximately 1 kilometer north of Manning, 108 meters east of Highway 35 and 330 meters southeast of the airport. The parcel is not within any historical value classification, key wildlife biodiversity zone, or in an environmentally sensitive area. However, it is within a sensitive wildlife area for grizzly bear. The site is accessed via Krause Avenue, which is located west of the property. There are low pressure gas lines owned by North Peace servicing each lot in the quarter. And there's a high pressure line also owned by North Peace running north-south through the lot and appears to be located under an existing building on the lot and proposed plant. The applicant will need to relocate the services. There's no well sites or spills within the quarter. The site is serviced with municipal water and sewer, falls within the town IDP and the North Manning Area Structure Plan. The proposed manufacturing and fertilizer storage and sales meets the policies of the IDP and the ASP. The manufacturing and fertilizer storage and sales conform to policy 4.23 of the MDP, which allows for agriculture industries on ag lands. And it also meets the regulations outlined in the Airport Protection District. The applicant will need a roadside development permit from transportation, and they will want to have the following questions answered. Is the business operating? And if so, what services are being provided? What is the expected traffic generation? And a condition has been created to reflect these concerns. And there were no concerns from any other agency or adjacent landowner. Our recommendation is to approve the application for manufacturing and fertilizer storage and sales, including the blending plant and including storage and sales on lot 7, block 1, plan 002-2905 on part of the Southwest 392-23 west of the 5th, subject to the conditions listed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Not looking for a motion to approve the development permit with the 7 conditions. Councillor Deacon so moves. Last chance for questions, discussion. All in favor? Carried. Okay, it's the next one.
Okay, the next application is the applicant is proposing to develop a detached tarp shed that is 30 feet by 60 feet and 16 feet in height within the front yard of the subject site. The tarp shed will be located 30 meters from the front property line, and the site is located on the southwest portion of Northeast 1884-21 west of the 5th, and is designated Ag General. Garage is considered an accessory building, which is listed as a permitted use in the Ag District, Ag General District. The proposed development is compatible with the surrounding districts and land uses. The site is accessed via an existing driveway from Township Road 842A. The applicant is proposing to, has constructed a second access to the site from Township Road 842A. The applicant has received county approval for the second access, and the inspection was completed the week of September 23rd. The site is serviced by the Weberville Water Co-op water supply network and an existing septic system for sewage disposal. The proposed development does not meet section I 1.1 and I 31.1, which states that no accessory building or portion thereof or any accessory use shall be erected in the front yard of a parcel with the exception of farm dwellings, and requires a 41-meter setback from the road. The applicant does not farm, and the tarp is located 30 meters from the front property line. Therefore, MPC approval is required. There were no comments received from adjacent referral agencies or adjacent landowners. And again, in this case, we're recommending that the application for the accessory building, the tarp shed, on the northeast 1884, 21 west of the 5th, be approved subject to the conditions outlined.
Okay, thank you. So do we have to do a variance first then?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there we are. So if we approve this development permit, we have to grant a variance first. So we need a motion to do that.
Councillor, question quick if I could. Debbie, do you know in the land use bylaw, just the purpose of not allowing construction as a permitted use in the front yard?
Actually, most municipalities, unless it is a farm operation, don't allow accessory buildings in the front yard of a property. And it, basically for the most part, it's for acreages and such. But it also applies to the larger acreage parcels with County of Northern Lights and other municipalities. So it is quite a common condition.
Was it like for safety reasons or just like for how things look, like aesthetic reasons?
It's mostly aesthetics for sure.
Okay, thanks, Debbie.
Debbie, is it for a tarp shed? Because number 5 of the
Number 6.
or number 6 of the
Recommendation.
recommendations say that it's supposed to be wood. So let's get it too.
I'll answer that. The supports, that condition only applies to the supports. I imagine they're having either metal, or I would think it would be metal, being on farmland, but it could be treated wood that they're putting, because it's got to have supports. And that's just a general condition, and I really looked at that one, but it's got to have some kind of supports to keep it up and keep it sturdy.
But just says the exterior finish of the support. Okay.
Yeah, of the supports.
Gotcha.
Only kind of the base that it's
Yes,
going to sit
yeah,
on, right?
thank you.
Okay, so Josh had answered your question about
Yeah.
putting stuff in the front yard and on agriculture.
Yeah.
That's where we're gonna grant the variance, right? So you have a motion to grant the variance? Okay, Councillor Reese, all in favor? Okay, and then now, get caught up here, now we have a motion to approve the development permit with those 8 conditions.
I will.
Okay, Councillor Holoviski so moves. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have one more.
Yes. In this case, the applicant is proposing to construct a 900 square foot dwelling on a concrete slab. It's 30 by 30 and a 12 by 28 shed. It will be on a 9.09 acre lot and is within Lot 2, Block 1, Plan 1, 423041, within the southeast of 29223 west of the 5th, and will be 18 feet in height. All the setback requirements have been met. It will be serviced by a septic tank with a pump out. The septic tank, cistern, and an existing outdoor privy are all located within the requirements of the Alberta Private Sewage System standards, and access is from Township Road 920 and a local internal road. The subject site is located 2.2 kilometers west of Manning town limits and a CN rail branch spur line right of way, and a safety fence and a 20-meter municipal reserve lot adjacent to the rear of the site. There is 1 row of willows and 2 rows of spruce trees have been planted within the MR to act as a sight and sound buffer from the rail. A low pressure and a high pressure gas line owned by North Peace is located at the rear of the site. The land is designated Airport Protection Zone 2. The ASP, or Area Structure Plan, and Land Use Bylaw recommend a development setback of 15 meters from the rail right-of-way. The proposed development meets the 15 meters. A dwelling is considered a discretionary use in the Airport Protection District, and MPC approval is required. The shed is considered an accessory building, which is permitted in the Airport Protection District. The area structure plan states that the subject site adjacent lots are safe from flooding, erosion, subsidence, and each site has a suitable building site. The site and the adjacent lots are located within an environmentally sensitive area for grizzly, and it's also within the key wildlife biodiversity zone. And there are no active or abandoned wells, record of spills, or contamination on the subject site. It's not within a historical resources value land designation. And it meets the intent of the county's municipal development plan. The south side, not a Q1 area structure plan. It's compatible with adjacent future land uses, provides a front yard setback similar to an adjacent dwelling. And the subject site is not within the Manning County of Northern Lights IDP. The application has been circulated to various agencies and adjacent landowners, and no issues or concerns have been received. It is recommended that this application be approved subject to the conditions outlined.
What did it, that says they should comply with the sewage system standards, right? Okay, thanks, Debbie. So,
Terry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Backtracking to my previous motion, it says on there chain link fence to be included in this application. We didn't put that in
on the previous,
there. That's what I was asking. I tried. Debbie, can you answer that one? Should we include the chain link fence in my motion?
That was a condition of the subdivision approval back in, I think it was 2014. But there's nothing wrong with ensuring that it was actually done. So it would be fine to add that condition.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure it's there on my motion. So it was for the and chain link fence. When you look at her. I just want you guys to.
okay. So council's okay with that? We'll just put that in there, which should have been. Okay, so let's move on to this other one now. 2435, the approval of the development permit for that with the 8 conditions, I believe. Yep. Any questions on this one? Okay, just need a motion to approve it with the 8 conditions in. Okay, Councillor Reese, all in favor? Carried. Okay, that takes us to item C, miscellaneous. I don't see anything under there, so thank you, Gail and Deb. And we
Thank
shall
you.
adjourn the meeting at 11:49.
They've got subdivisions too, if you want to get those done over here.
Yeah, so jump right down to 6.6.1 on page 2 of the agenda. So we have 3 subdivisions that were approved. We just need a motion. Yeah, so okay, so we have 3 subdivisions that will be approved with subject to the following conditions
No, you have to give you a presentation.
on each one of them.
Yeah, subdivision. Not.
Okay, that is our subdivisions. That's That's not part of our municipal.
No,
planning.
that's right, it's not.
So let's just catch up to that then. Let's try to find it on the agenda first, so.
Page 29.
you know, I can look at that. Okay, so who wants to, Deb, are you gonna speak to these subdivisions?
I will.
Okay.
In this case, the applicant is proposing to subdivide an undivided 18.4 hectare parcel from the northwest 290/23 west of the 5th and consolidate the parcel with an adjacent quarter to the east, and that will be the northeast 290/23 west of the 5th. Both are currently in agriculture production. Once consolidated, the new parcel will continue in agriculture production. The quarter section of the proposed parcel are subject to the Ag General District and contain no buildings. The quarter section is divided into an east and west portion by a creek and marshes. The development permit should be, any development, if it was proposed, should be set back from the wetlands, and any alterations to them require a Water Act approval. The quarter section is not within the Grimshaw Gravel Aquifers, a key wildlife biodiversity zone, an environmentally sensitive area, or historical value classified land designation. There's no record of wells, records of spills or contamination within the quarter. A review of the Alberta Spatial Information indicates that the quarter section has a Canada Land Inventory soil rating of 100%, Class 2 moderate limitations, and subclass 3 adverse climate. Class 2 soils are considered better agriculture land by the MDP, and it allows for the subdivision of the balance provided that the parcel will be used for agriculture purposes. It is severed from the balance of the quarter and is consolidated with the adjacent lands. The subdivision meets each of these conditions and may be subdivided. The proposed parcel contains a low pressure gas line owned by North Peace and an abandoned high pressure gas line and an abandoned saltwater line, both owned by Sidco Energy. All adjacent lands are zoned agriculture general. The proposed subdivision is compatible with existing and future land uses in the surrounding area and not considered to have a negative impact on the adjacent lands. There is currently no access to the proposed parcel. However, after subdivision and consolidation, to the access will be taken from Range Road 231, which is designated a residential road, Range Road 232. There is no existing on-site servicing for water supply or sewage. Policy 4.24 of the MDP allows for the subdivision because the parcel will be used for ag services and it's severed from the balance and will be consolidated. A reserve is not being requested as the parcel is greater than 16 hectares and will be used for agriculture. Mostly no comments were received from anyone. The recommendation is that the subdivision application to create an 18.4 hectare parcel from the Northwest 290/23 be approved, subject to the conditions outlined.
Okay, thank you. So that, that number 2 is, like you said, it's right there, the 5-meter road right away, because they've signed this application, right? So they're obviously good with it.
Well, no, they haven't got the conditions yet.
Oh, okay.
So that will be one of the conditions. This one does actually have a range road that runs along the boundary on the proposed parcel that's going to be consolidated with the other one.
Okay, so the motion to approve the subdivision with those 7 conditions. Okay, Councillor Thies, any questions? All in favor? It's carried. Okay, the next one is.
The next application is for George Peters, and he's proposing to create a farmstead separation from the southwest 33/84/24 west of the 5th. The quarter section and proposed parcel are subject to the Ag General District and are covered with vegetation. Contains a manufactured home, a well, dugout, septic tank, and 3 sheds. The quarter section is divided into an east and west portion by a creek and marshes. Development should be set back from the wetlands, and any alterations to them require Water Act approval. The quarter section and proposed parcel is not within the Grimshaw Gravels Aquifer, Key Wildlife Biodiversity Zone, or an environmentally sensitive area or a historical value classified land designation. There's no wells, record of spills, or contamination within the quarter. An abandoned pipeline is in the southeast portion of the proposed lot. The MDP allows for the subdivision of the balance provided the parcel represents the first parcel from the quarter section in its farmstead separation. The proposed subdivision meets all of those requirements. All surrounding lands are designated Ag General. The proposed subdivision is compatible with existing and future land uses in the surrounding area and not considered to have a negative impact on the adjacent lands. It's accessed by Range Road 244, which is designated a residential road. It meets the requirements of the MDP and the land use bylaw and the MGA. We only received comments, relative comments from the municipal affairs. They had concerns about the septic systems, private sewage system. That's all been confirmed. Everything's in compliance, so there's no issues going forward. And the recommendation is that the subdivision application to create 7.9 hectare or 19.5 acre parcel from the southwest 338424 west of the 5th be approved subject to the conditions outlined.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No, see none. I'm looking for a motion to approve subdivision 24NL11 with the 7 conditions. Okay, Councillor Reese has made that motion. Last chance for questions. See none. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, and finally 24NL13.
And this is for Glenn Stone and Dan Reinders. And the application is, they're proposing to subdivide an 8.5 hectare or 21 acre parcel from the southeast 99123 west of the 5th. The proposed parcel is in excess of the 4 hectares or 10 acres maximum in the county's land use bylaw. The additional parcel size is required to accommodate the physical characteristics of the site, such as farm buildings, existing trees, drainage channel fields, dugouts, and pump outs. The quarter section and the proposed parcel are subject to the Ag General District. The quarter section is in agriculture production, has a tree stand and a drainage channel. The proposed parcel is cleared, has a house, shop, fields, a tree stand, and pump out and dugout. The quarter section and proposed parcel are not located within an IDP, Key Wildlife Biodiversity Zone, or environmentally sensitive area. It is within, again, the sensitive wildlife area for grizzly bear. There is an unnamed creek that runs through the quarter. A review of the Alberta Spatial Information System indicates that the quarter section has a Canada Land Inventory soil rating of 100% class 2 with moderate limitations, 80% is class 3 with moderate to severe limitations, and 20% class severe limitations. Class 2 through class 4 soils are considered better agriculture land by the MDP. The surrounding lands are all zoned Ag General, and the proposed subdivision is compatible with existing land uses in the surrounding area and not considered to have a negative impact on adjacent lands. The site is accessed from Highway 35 to the east via a private driveway. The proposed access to the balance of the quarter is to be shared with the existing access to the parcel. Alberta Transportation has reviewed this and approve the proposal. The proposed subdivision utilizes county water services and an open discharge pump out and a septic tank holding tank for sewage disposal. There is no conflict with 4.2.5 and policy 4.2.7 of the MDP, which allows for subdivision of a lot from a quarter and or a farmstead separation, provided the parcels contain a habitable residence and is the minimum size necessary to accommodate the on-site services and amenities and improvements. In this case, the proposed boundaries are dictated by the location of the dugout, pump out, and tree boundaries. And there's no conflict with the Land Use Bylaw or the Municipal Government Act. And again, in this case, because of the size, we cannot require MR, and it's a first parcel out. Now, Alberta Transportation has also indicated again that they want a permit, and so that is reflected in the conditions. And therefore, we're recommending that the subdivision application to create an 8.5 hectare parcel from the Southeast 91, 23 West the 5th be approved subject to the listed conditions. And I did add this after it was completed, that the roadside development permit shall be obtained from Alberta Transportation and Economic Corridors.
Okay, thank you. So any questions on this subdivision?
So Debbie, when you say that one was added, that's a 10th condition then?
That's the 10th condition.
So there's more
I
that are
can
listed
send you the
there.
wording if you like.
Yeah, let's add it in there. Did you catch what it is, Teresa? Can you kind of help Teresa?
Just repeat.
Just repeat that 10th condition, Debbie, that Alberta Transportation.
Okay.
Let's put ATEC.
A roadside development permit shall be obtained from transportation and economic corridors.
Debbie, can you see that? What you just did?
No, but that's good.
That captures it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got it, the 10th condition on. So now any discussion? So I'm looking for a motion to approve subdivision with the 10 conditions. Councillor Deacon has made that motion. All in favor? Carried. That concludes the development.
Thank you.
Subdivisions. So thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.
And we can go back to page 1 of the agenda. We can look at this finance. Item B, the Director of Finance update.
Easier than my last one. So just a report, thank you guys. So rural renewal stream grant applications, or sorry, not grant applications, letters of endorsement, just we continue to receive these. I continue to try and attend their monthly meetings that they have. It's a kind of a continually evolving program through the provincial and federal government, just because there's so many layers of government involved in immigration. It's continuously changing. From our standpoint, though, we're still only writing letters of endorsement for any potential candidates that already have a job offer from an existing business within the town or the county. Today I've written over 30 letters, predominantly for town businesses, but I have written now 2 for the mill, 1 for a farm family up north, and there was a 3rd one, I believe, as well, that was in the county. So just kind of an update to remind you guys that we are participating. I've had follow-up emails now on 2 of the 30 that I've written, so they continue to be like 10 months behind with that process, but it was never stated that it was gonna be a quick process, so continues to move forward. Yep.
Quick, just I see Brenda's hands up.
Oh. You have a question, Brenda?
No. Sorry, no, I don't.
Okay, all good.
Oh, joy.
So the next one, kind of an interesting one and contingent on another meeting that Gerhard had scheduled, so no actions yet, but it's an option that we have at our disposal. I had a meeting with essentially a representative of RMA or Canoe. They also exist in the mobile communication space. So they did a free review of our TELUS invoices and do have the option to save us about $900 a month there. Gerhard had a meeting with the representative from TELUS directly, and we haven't had a chance to chat about that yet. So depending on the outcome of that, this is probably a viable option. It does a couple things that administratively are very good. It makes it so I no longer have to deal with TELUS directly, which is a huge bonus. And then obviously $900 a month. Although we're not talking thousands, it's still a step in the right direction, right? So.
So RMA, you just deal with RMA.
Yeah, so just like with fuel or anything else, right, it essentially is the same process. So for fuel, for example, we deal with UFA, but we don't deal with UFA directly. We deal with RMA, they deal with UFA on our behalf, and they do that throughout the whole province. So the result of that is economies of scale, savings, essentially, get price savings on everything. So pending, we'll likely see that change, I would imagine. And then the continuous agenda item here, the ERP system transition continues. So we had kind of a not good meeting. I guess, so they have staff that is also entitled to holidays. So we kind of went through a stressful period where some of the support issues we were encountering were getting dealt with. So we've had a meeting now to address those concerns. They brought on more people now. And they're continuing to sign on a lot of additional municipal clients as well, which is good and bad. It takes away resources, but one can only think that the more people that are signing on to this, the more it's going to grow, the more input there is. So things will be moving in the right direction, hopefully, because I still have not brought a bank reconciliation to you guys. So I'll have another meeting on that topic this week. And I've been promised that I will be able to actually do a bank reconciliation.
Yeah,
Right?
so
This
you've
week,
not done a bank reconciliation.
since February.
So
Or,
is
yeah.
that,
Is that bad? Extremely, yeah.
I'm kidding.
The purpose of that is kind of a multitude of things. It's how we ensure we're capturing everything that's coming in.
Mhm.
It's how we can track uncashed checks, and it's essentially us validating the bank balance that we're showing on our financial statements, which is the biggest reason come year end, which is now only 3 months away. They're well aware of the deadlines. Gentlemen that come up here on behalf of them and sat with us can't use the words that we used when we were talking about how silly this is, but it's something that should never have happened. So they've apologized profusely for it, and we continue to work on it. But I mean, the rest of the things are kind of working out. Our day-to-day operations continue to be functioning. It's now just we're at a point where we're almost ready to transition just to normal support rather than having this implementation team at our disposal. They've just taken the stance, and I agree with it. Until we've kind of worked out all of the issues, it doesn't really make sense to go that route. So we're kind of just hanging up right there until we pick the last couple problematic areas off. And then we'll see how our year-end work goes, because that's going to be all new. So it's going to be a lot more work for me at the end of the year, which is expected. It's still new. It'll be the first time to go through that reporting and data migration into the auditor software as well. So then less somber, small business awards. You guys have heard about this a couple times now, so this is just a reminder. Tickets are on sale, so if any of you that were attending +1, just stop at the front desk and grab a ticket.
Your tickets are on my desk.
And your tickets, which are sponsored are with Teresa Tucker. Nominations are live, so we've kind of had continual responses to the survey online for that, so. Selection committees will be meeting probably next week, I think, to just do the actual selections of the award winners. So this year, I've mentioned this on the first time, but it's we have sponsors for each of the awards, so we're gonna have a selection committee that's a representative of the town, chamber, county, and the award sponsor. And if it becomes problematic, we'll just alternate town and county to make it an odd number of voting. Otherwise, it should be fun.
Yeah, see lots
Yeah,
of
and the liquor license is in place, so.
lots of nominations, I see.
Yeah, there has been, so.
That's good. Okay, any questions? Otherwise, get a motion to, Councillor Biskie moves to acknowledge your financial update report, set for information, all in favor, carried. Okay, we'll keep rolling along here, just about to the end. Second page, Public Works, item A is a Director of Public Works report, Charles.
Yes, we keep it short and sweet for you. Re-gravel. Going as well as it can, bit of rain slows things down, but got a couple more weeks left to go. They're just as of this morning, they are done Colina Flats, or not Colina Flats. I'm blanking, I apologize, but we're progressing rather well and we're getting all down East Manning graveled up, and it was fairly bare, so we're going a little heavier with the gravel, which the residents down there are all fairly happy with. So that was good to hear. Our north transportation crew, we got a couple more culverts to go, and then they'll be done that and starting to get ready for the ugly white stuff. And same with South crew, they had a few areas that they just wanted to get graveled up that were a little bare, and then a couple more culverts for themselves, and same deal, trying to get ready for winter. If you'll remember way back when I had gotten approval from you guys to get some repairs done on the Dixonville truck fill. The contractor finally got the actual vents installed, but we're still waiting on a few extra parts to finish those repairs. Parts are hard to come by. One other thing, speaking of Dixonville, that came up after this report, and just so that council is aware that this is what's happened. Some residents in Dixonville have raised concerns about speed on the highway. And the school zone, they would like to see turned into a playground zone, so that the 30 km/h speed limit is enforced year round and longer. That being said, the residents have went and put a letter together, signed, got a bunch of signatures on it, and have handed it off to Todd Wowen, the Minister for Forestry.
I don't think he's the right minister.
Yeah.
No, I know, but he was going to pass it along to the transportation minister. So they took it in their own hands, and I just wanted you guys to be aware. There will likely next council meeting be an RFD from myself. Reducing the speed in Dixonville to 30 km/h, because after looking at it, 50 seems a little high anyway. And I don't think you're getting up to 50 on the 100 meters of street anyway, so that'll be coming down the line. I didn't have the time to get it for you this round, so. But just so you're aware of it.
Remember was it last meeting, we talked about the ditch mowing on the highway? You said that, the contract was supposed to be done by the end of September, was kind of
Mid-September.
the mid-September.
Yeah, it all depends too on when they sign. So it's that comment I had made was based off of what their specifications are, not what the actual contract was.
Got it done.
Well, we don't.
Yeah, they're all done now.
They're still working out by Linda's area, right there, I don't know if
On the
they're,
highway?
yeah. They're not in a Twin Lake shed, I don't think so.
Oh,
Some of it was missed. Yeah, like it's
They're
really
still
crazy
working,
how,
but-
you know, they're hit and miss the jumping here and the jumping.
yeah.
I think they missed their deadline, but hopefully. we're
Well, that's between transportation and them, and there's probably some clause in there about liquidated damages or something.
No, just a comment.
They had about 3, when I went home on Saturday, I think it was 3 or 4 trucks. That's the most I've ever seen doing the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're trying to get it done.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
And they better have to be sold before they finish.
yeah, probably.
Okay, any other questions for Charles? Now to get a motion to accept his report.
Thank you.
Okay, Gary, all in favor, carried. Okay, next, Charles, is a request for decision on the surplus grader.
Yeah, so we got it internally here, had some discussions about this grader that we replaced. So grader, the John Deere that we replaced, G1007. Was the one that we were intending on selling off after we received the new one. However, after discussing it, it seems that it would be a better option to get rid of 1002, the cat grader at auction. And move 1007, the old John Deere, into a spare grader position. That being because there's a new transmission that was just installed on it. It's got less hours than the cat. And it just makes more sense to us. From an operation standpoint. And I just. Because we decided to, or discuss this and we decided to, hopefully change the plan. That's why we're bringing it here to you guys to see if that aligns with what you guys think as well.
And as of right now, just remember, council, the reason on my last report, we were over budget on the grader replacement is because we haven't got rid of one yet, so. Budget things net of trade-in, and we just haven't done that trade-in part yet, so.
So
Just won't bring us back in line with budget.
Will auction give you a guaranteed price?
Well, I guess you can't necessarily get a guaranteed price, but you could set a reserve. Yeah, it's not like it's gonna go for $5,000, that's not happening.
I just said the trading value was too low, which, you know, I agree,
Oh, yeah.
but,
Yeah, that's all I meant by that was that everything that Finning and John Deere or Branch, sorry, was offering for our old grader was just not reasonable, and both representatives from both companies had said that a lot of times lately they're not getting any trade-ins because people are opting to go to auction. Because they're not getting more money out of it, so. Sharpen your pencils is what I said, but.
yeah, so. Get rid of the cat and keep the John Deere, makes sense, right? You put a lot of
Yeah.
money into that John Deere, right, that you're not gonna get back.
Oh, and
probably.
that's, yeah, and I mean, for what it's worth. And. The John Deere is gonna sit there and be used rather sparingly anyway, so we might as well, get as much out of it as we can.
Okay, any questions on this? Charles?
I think I can make that motion.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So we got and keep the John Deere? Yeah, what's the number there? G002. Okay, Councilor Thesis has made that motion. Any further questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Charles.
Thank you, council.
We move down to board reports. We have motion to accept them. Unless anybody had a verbal with that,
Just
go
Yeah,
ahead.
just an update, yes, that's, Arlene, our director, retired in the spring. After 20 years of service, how's that?
It'd be hard to replace.
Yeah.
Do they have a plan to replace her yet, or are they gonna?
Well, that's in the works.
Well,
Linda, you have something?
yeah, I just attended the Peace Library Service executive, not board. Anybody sent you a copy of the agenda. It's in our information.
Right, the motion to no receipt of the board reports, except for information.
I'll move.
Oh, I'm ready to get one here.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried. Info package, there's one addition, of the site C billing update. Otherwise, any other discussion or comments out of the info package?
Seems to be ahead of schedule.
I was amazed at how much they said it was already.
I
done.
thought
They
it was gonna
upgrade.
go till Christmas.
It's lots of money.
Does it take a lot of rain? to fill that big
Well,
hole?
you would think so.
If you see all over the rest of the river, does it make sense?
Okay, give a motion to acknowledge the info package with addition. Councilor Thies, all in favor, carried. Open mic, Dan?
Just wondering if Charles, could you talk a little bit about the citizenship initiative and things?
Oh, that, well, I guess what are you looking for? They just wanna see the playground zone, or? Yeah, sorry, school zone turned into a playground.
Okay.
Just so that the 30 kilometers an hour zone is longer and year round, instead of the typical school zone hours. They want to do that because there's been a lot of vehicles, passenger and industrial coming through at fairly high speeds. So that's all right, they want to see from that anyway.
And is there someone I can contact and get some little about that? Or?
I will reach out to the guy that initiated it and see if he, I don't know if he does, so I'm not gonna give away all the
Okay,
information
sure.
myself, but if he does wanna talk to you about it, I'll send it your way.
Sure, and if not, I'll just put it as a read.
Yeah.
Either way,
That's it, Dan?
yes.
Okay, right. Delegation, the decision on that. So we're good. We can adjourn the meeting. 12:23.